This is a diplomatic masterpiece that they stayed at the table and came to the conclusion that they did.
Well, that might have been Nancy Pelosi's way of trying to reassure Democrats who aren't too keen on this Iranian deal that they have every reason to be behind it and get behind the president and support him and avoid anything coming close to a potential veto override. That's why the attention really focuses on the Senate and Senate Democrats, and particularly this guy, Senator Ben Cardin of the fine state of Maryland. Sir, good to have you back with us. How you doing?
Oh, it's good to be with you. Thank you.
Senator, a diplomatic masterpiece. What did you make of that?
Well, I'm not ready to reach a conclusion. I'm still studying the agreement. Believe me, there are questions. We know there's a lot of good things in the agreement. There's a lot of questions that have been raised by the agreement. So what we're trying, and many members are trying to determine, are the good outweigh the bad, or is this a bad agreement for us to approve? And we have not reached that. Many of us have not reached that conclusion yet.
If you had to handicap it now, Senator, when you said that, it's not perfect, it's not it'll ultimately come down to weighing what's good versus what's bad. Some of your Democratic colleagues are saying, well, there's still a little bit more good than bad, and I'll support my president, and I kind of agree with John Kerry when he says there is no alternative. That's like a unicorn type deal. You're getting the gist of what I'm saying here, that in the end, they will stick with the president. Is that true?
Well, I think the hardest question to answer is what happens if Congress effectively rejects the agreement. I think there is uncertainty as to what goes forward, and that's been one of the questions that many people are trying to get answered. On the other side of the equation, there's issues about legitimating Iran's nuclear programs and whether they'll be at a breakout capacity that we will not be able to determine in order to take effective action. There's also a question as to whether Congress can reimpose certain sanctions for non-nuclear related activities by Iran, such as terrorism. I think these are the questions that we are still drilling down, trying to get the answers to. And at this point, a lot of members haven't made their decisions.
Now, we do know as a fact that there aren't going to be any American inspectors looking at those nuclear facilities, and we do know that they just can't barge in on the Iranians. They have to give some warning, and we're told upwards of 21 days at a minimum. I don't know about you, but if I subscribe to that with parties, I'd never go to a party because they'd want advance notice. Now, so we can't just crash in on it. Does that trouble you, that aspect?
Well, that's an issue. There's no question. We know that on declared sites that's not going to be a problem, but we're concerned about covert activities that could lead to a nuclear weapon, and that's where the undisclosed sites become critically important, and the 24-day delay could be a factor. We've been told if nuclear material is used at that site, we'll discover it. But if it's just a weaponization program, it might be more difficult.
Yeah, it might be a lot of days before you get to address it, right?
Well, they could change the landscape, and we may not know exactly what they were doing.
Understood. Senator, when you step back from this, we do know, to your point, that if we reject this now, what kind of message does it send to the world? A French foreign minister is quoted as saying, they might welcome our rejecting it because it might extract a better deal. Or is it your understanding that because the UN Security Council has voted for this unanimously, those member countries are already poised to ease up on their sanctions and get the money going to Iran, and it's too late for us. Whether we reject it or not, they're going to get the money and they're going to get it fast.
Well, the Senate Foreign Relations Committee held, I thought, a very helpful hearing on this subject yesterday, where we had different views, but I think there was a general agreement that if the Senate or if the Congress effectively rejects the agreement, that there will be some leakage internationally on the sanction regime. There's no question about that. There will be some problems about unity among the United States and our allies, and those are issues that we're trying to evaluate.
Senator, does it bother you? I know it bothers some of your Republican colleagues when the president was saying, I believe in a press conference in Africa when he was there, that no one in the opposition can point to one fact that would dispute this deal or the validity or the veracity of this deal, that there's nothing that they could come up with that would be better. I think that was the gist of it. What did you make of that? Because it ticked off some Republicans who said we could rattle off a bunch of stuff.
We know negotiations are always difficult. I respect greatly the people who negotiated on behalf of our country. I know they accomplished a lot of good things. But clearly there are parts of this agreement that many of us would have liked to have seen a lot stronger. We start off with just the assumption of why should a country that violated an international protocol on the use of nuclear material, why should they now have a legitimate legal enrichment program that takes them very close to the edge of being able to produce a nuclear weapon. So there are some fundamental issues that I think we need to deal with of concern to many of us. We're evaluating that. It's not conclusive yet, but certainly there are issues in this agreement that raise concern.
Judge, I'm sorry, Senator. I'm talking about a judge next. I'm talking about a judge next. But thank you very much, Senator. Very good having you.
Thank you.
To that aforementioned judge, slip of the tongue, who has now barred more really weird Parenthood videos of this whole fetus thing. They're so disturbing. They're so gruesome to show. I can't show them to you. But a judge has barred them from being shown anyway. Is that right? And is that editing on the other side? I mean, we know what's there. Why can't you see it and hear it after this?